I anticipate this Monday. I hope you also anticipate the day like I do. Anyways, yeah, welcome to the show. This is Power Solutions. Power Solutions is powered by Allon Energy Impact Investment Company in partnership with your number one talk station, Nigeria Info. Yes, every week we come with these conversations where we try to bring you happenings and everything in the energy sector for you to learn, bring you all the updates you need to know, and everything happening in the sector just to give you all those updates. How do we get power into the homes of every single Nigerian? I mean, that is a huge task for me, and I really want to. How do I achieve it? How do we achieve it? How do we make sure there's light in every home and there's clean energy in every home? Sustainable power, that's a key for us. Not just having power, but sustainable power, clean power. Let's get rid of all your generators. Someone called me, Wisdom, I'm tired of my generator. I need to use something else. I'm like, you know what? You've talked to the right person. I will try to achieve that for you. So welcome to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Power Solutions. And my name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo. And I like to start with, just giving you sort of update. Last week, I mentioned something on the show. And someone was like, what does it mean? The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC. Many people don't know so much about this commission. And I just wanted to mention before I go into the show, NEC, the Nigerian Electricity Commission, is a regulatory of the Nigeria electricity supply industry, given the responsibility to create electricity market, perform market coordination among a network of players. Do you know NEC's functions and powers? Yeah, I'm trying to bring someone from NEC to also talk about a lot of these things NEC do, so that you know who is, just like you have CBN for the financial sector, we have NEC that controls everything, the market electricity market in Nigeria. So it's good to sort of know what happens here. So sometimes we need to know who we need to hold responsible for stuff. Okay, yeah, I have a very interesting guest in the house. The talk on NEC is just to give you my regular update on what happened in the sector. So I just want to talk about NEC before we go into this conversation. Today, we are talking about something very important. And if you are SME, if you run a business, if you own a business, and one thing that's always been a burden for you is how to reduce the amount of money you spend on power. You might want to just grab a seat and increase the volume of your radio set to listen. Today, we are discussing reducing business costs with solar. If you spend so much money on your power, how do you get to reduce it? How do you get to switch? A lot of people send me messages to say, look, Wisdom, I want to power this and this. I want to switch. I have this in my shop. I have this in, my office. Want to switch completely. How do I do it? Very good things you guys do. And I'm always happy to help. And, because I know all these people in the sector who can help, it's always very easy. So, yeah. So our topic today is reducing business cost with solar. Yes, you heard that right. With solar. Yeah. And I have a very wonderful friend in the studio. It's an amazing guy, very powerful guy in the sector. Today I commented in his outfit, the way he's looking.
Wisdom.
Yes. So my guest today is Dr. Patrick Agbese, and he's the founder and CEO of PAM Africa. Dr. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Wisdom. Really nice seeing your face again.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. 11 months or so. How many months ago since we last had the conversation?
It was May last year.
Yeah, around that time. So welcome to the show. I always like the way you look to the studio.
Thank you.
I need to know who your designer is. we can talk about that offline. Who your designer is, who your tailor. I need to look like you.
Don't worry, I'll hook you up. Don't worry.
You hook me up, eh? Very important. In case you want to see who Dr. Agbese is, you can just watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. Okay, so Patrick, today we are discussing a very important conversation. It's sort of a follow-up conversation on the last one we had. And like I told you, I'll be keeping tabs on what you guys are doing. And see how that is progressing.
That's great.
And let's keep talking about some of those progress from time to time.
Yeah.
So today we're talking reducing business costs with solar. Many of my listeners will want to know what this means. But before we go into that, because you've been on the show before, we're not going to go into much about your profile. I mean, Dr. Patrick Agbese is a scientist. His doctor is a PhD holder. He's done a lot of things around the energy sector. But for the sake of listeners who just be hearing from you for the first time, tell us very briefly, about your background and your professional journey.
Sure. So, most important thing, I'm a scientist by obviously education, but also I'm an entrepreneur by trade, and currently building PAM Africa.
Okay.
PAM Africa, we're a leading renewable energy company in Nigeria, and we specialize in innovation, net zero villages, and solar energy systems for businesses in Nigeria.
I was going to ask again to tell us just what PAM Africa does. Is it a solar company? Is it an energy company? How would you define?
Yeah, so PAM Africa specifically is an energy company that's focused heavily on innovation. We bring a lot of latest innovation that's in abroad, which is in the UK, the US, bring that to Nigeria, but also implement and deliver on those solutions.
Beautiful. In case you want to catch the previous conversation with Dr. Agbese, you can just find that on All On's YouTube channel. You can find All On YouTube, All On Energy, at All On Energy. You can watch previous episode with Dr. Agbese where we talked about upscaling affordable, sort of power for Nigerians. So you can look that up, and very interesting stuff. You need to catch up on that. So, Patrick, let's go on into the conversation now. Last time we talked about upscaling affordable solar power, and around that time you said something about what you called a net zero village. And I'm very excited to hear this village. This village,
yep.
It's been launched. So walk us through really what does a net zero village mean?
Okay.
First, and which village did you which village did you launch?
Yeah. So before I'll dive into the net zero village, what we term an NZV for now. So net zero village, NZV is the short term for now, right?
NZV.
But before I dive into it, I'll really talk a little bit about some of the specific issues that we're facing in Nigeria and some of the impact that solar is being made in certain sectors.
All right.
So if you look at Nigeria specifically, 1 in 2 Nigerians that you see walking around don't have electricity at home. They literally no electricity when they go home. So that's a huge problem. So we cannot compete on a global scale in terms of a country if we haven't addressed that.
But sometime
problem
last
yet.
year there was an improvement in power supply. I don't know if you agree with that. And a lot of people called me to say, they had light, especially during the Xmas period.
Yeah, so what is periodic light when we should be having light 24 hours all through the year? There's certain countries that have 24 hours all through the year. Nigeria, as becoming a leading country, should be able to have that for its citizens. It's a necessity now. It's not an option. We get excited over 1 or 2 hours of light or a short period of time for a month, and we get very happy. But this should be a standard for everybody. So that's one of the key things. And I'll just also talk about another thing is that we lose about $29 billion as a country just because we don't have access to electricity. That is a huge number. It's about 6% of our GDP, right? Which is very big. And businesses, like SMEs, when you aggregate them together, they lose about $14 billion on just spending on bad source of power like generators and all these things. So everybody is facing the problem, right? We're all really having a very, very tough time.
Very tough.
As businesses and individuals living in Nigeria. Very difficult time having power and affordable power. So the Net Zero Villages was an initiative that we put together so that we can give Nigeria an example of what a functioning village looks like with power. Do you understand? Let's not take it technology by technology approach. Let's look at a location and say, let's mark this location and say, what's a model Nigeria look like in this location? That is what an NZV is. So in an NZV, what you would probably have is solar energy systems. You find them in an NZV. You find mini grids in an NZV. You will find two of our new innovations. One is solar cooling, so cool. That's what we call it. And you find a solar battery hub where people can go and swap batteries and use them for their homes and businesses. You find e-mobility solutions like electric bikes and electric cars in an NZV.
So, hearing you loud and clear now, what this means when you say you've launched in a zero village, it means you've now identified a community, or let's call it a village, and then you've implemented sort of some of these solutions.
Yes, we began implementing some of these solutions.
It. So tell us more. Where is this located?
Okay, good. So this is located in Osun State, in Isukan community in Osun State, and we've already started working on the community engagement at the moment, engaging with the community, speaking to them. working with the local leaders, showing them that, look, this community, you won't be able to identify this place that you're in the next 2 to 3 years, because everyone here will be able to access electricity, and there will be enough to distribute around for the communities, and we'll be introducing new businesses in those areas to bring them out of poverty, to industrialize those sectors, those villages.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to speak to Patrick in the studio, you can always call us and be part of this conversation, Lagos, Nigeria. 0700 993 993 993. In case you want to call Patrick in the studio and you have a few questions for him as you're listening, also want to be part of the conversation, be happy to call me anytime. So, Dr. Patrick, let's go on now. So I want to really understand how I want to buttress more on it. You sort of talked about it earlier, but how is a net zero village, the solution of Nigeria's most critical problem, which is power?
Yes. So the most important thing is in Nigeria at the moment, we always move with trends. There's a lot of people moving with trends. So currently, there's the solar home systems trend. There's the mini grid trend, right? These are sometimes, some of these solutions are not the best solutions for a specific location. You need a mix of different solutions, not just one or the other. So what's a net zero village, what we call NZV, means is how do we find the best mix of renewable energy solution for a specific location? Okay. Right? And that's what makes it very
Let's
important.
take this call. We have somebody on the phone, so let's take this phone call. Hello, good morning. My name is Wisdom. Welcome to Power Solutions. Talk to me. All right, let's go on. We lost that caller.
No problem.
You can call me back, please.
Okay, no, that's really good, and it's so important that we really want to engage with Nigerians and different community leaders, so we can see how we can actually get more net zero villages, NZVs, in different locations. And you can definitely reach out to PAM. Our phone number is 080 206 41916. And that's just one of the couple of solutions that we do.
We'll get into all of that shortly. Now, I want to ask, so with all this you're working on, I read that you aim to develop 200 net zero villages by 2030. Creating over 20,000 jobs.
That's correct.
For rural dwellers, and offsetting 56,700 tons of greenhouse gas. This is ambitious.
It's huge. It's hugely ambitious.
Huge. But how do you want to achieve this? How do you plan to achieve this?
Let me tell you a secret, right? The reason why solar energy specifically is not everywhere in Nigeria is sometimes we think too small. We think too small that we cannot attract the level of capital that wants to come into the country, right? We need to start thinking bigger. As a people in Nigeria, the people in the country, we need to start thinking bigger. And that's the kind of projects that would be interested for international financing to actually arrive into Nigeria to build these projects. So NZV
we have a
is
call.
part of that.
Let's see if we can take this call quickly. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Power Solutions. Talk to me. We keep losing the phone calls. I don't know. All right, go on.
They might not have power.
All right, go on, please.
Okay, so I think that's very important, and NZV is one of our initiatives. We're going to be we've obviously launched the first one. We're going to be building.
No, I'm saying, how do you want to achieve the 200?
The
you hope
200
to do by 2030.
Sure. So the most important thing is being able to access finance, because majority is not that there is no land for NZV. There's enough land in Nigeria to build NZVs.
Okay.
There's enough technology to build NZV. The technology is not that we're trying to find a new technology. There's enough innovation out there to bring in to do this thing. Okay. But be able to kind of finance those type of projects is very difficult.
Very difficult.
You're working in areas where people are deemed non-investable, right? Yeah, you're working in different locations. So you have to be very intelligent in terms of how you source funding for these type of things, and we found a method that seems to work, and we're sticking to that, and we feel that that's going to be a very good approach with how we kind of deploy these NZVs going forward.
Interesting. So I see a message on WhatsApp, and someone is asking, what do you mean by net zero?
That's a very good question.
What do you mean? Is what it will say, Dr. Patrick, what do you mean by net zero?
Yes. So net zero villages really, or net zero specifically, right? There's an equation called Kaya identity equation, right? So what that equation does, right? In the net zero villages, we're expecting that the amount of emissions coming out from a net zero village, right, is less than what is being produced in there. So we can offset more emissions than the villages produce those emissions.
Okay.
So, for example, if a small community in Osun State generates within the diesel fumes and everything is about, let's say, 500 tons of CO2 emissions. When we're deploying the net zero, we're offsetting more than 500 tons of CO2, probably offsetting about 1,000 tons of CO2. So in that case, that community is now net zero.
Interesting. Before going back to the top to the conversation, I have another question. Someone wants to know. I want to ask if there's anything like solar transformer for a community.
Yeah, so I've never seen a solar transformer.
Let me. The other part of the question is saying, and this is from Bawo from Ikorodu, and I say what I mean is, say 100 homes in a community generate power with their solar on their roof, feeding and charging a central place that steps up the light enough to power the whole houses and stores. Then the community pay instrumentally till the infrastructure is owned fully by. Is it referring to a mini grid?
I love that question.
Is this different from a mini grid?
So that's different from a mini grid,
okay,
right? But it's a very interesting, and what part of that solution is actually going to be in the net zero villages, and that's called a mesh grid.
A mesh
grid.
Okay.
So mesh.
Explain that for us.
So if you think about mesh, when you think about the word mesh, what comes to your mind?
Mesh is like match things.
Match.
Yeah.
You get match mixed together, right?
Mix, yeah.
Yeah. You get a mix. So when I think about mesh, I think about a web, a spider web, like a mesh.
Okay.
So imagine all these houses connected together, all feeding that electricity, sharing them between themselves. They'll all be sharing electricity, like the way you share food around your neighbors, right? Share your electricity, and then also feed into one centralized storage area that can also balance out the grid and the other activities in that area. So it's really interesting when you think about the mesh technology, and very interesting that Ekolo actually picked that up because that's one of the innovations.
So even if there's nothing like a solar transformer, we could actually have something like a mesh grid.
Yes, you can have a mesh grid, which is very simple. So what he's describing is technically the opposite of a mini grid. So what a mini grid does is you have a small centralized solution with power, and then that's distributed to everybody. But look at the opposite way around. When you have all the power in those people's homes distributed into the mini grid, so it's a bit different.
It's a bit different.
Yeah.
The guest in the studio with me here is Dr. Patrick Agbese, who is founder and CEO of PAM Africa. And if you're just joining the conversation, this is Spark Solutions. Spark Solutions is powered by Allon, Energy Impact Investment Company, in partnership with your number one talk station, Nigeria Info. And we're discussing today reducing business cost with solar. And Dr. Patrick Agbese is helping us to understand how we can achieve this. His company have set up what we call a net zero village. And how would this village and the people in the village benefit from having solar, and how that will help their businesses, for example. And Bawo from Ikorodu, thank you so much for that very strategic question. In case you want to join the conversation, you want to call us on the studio, call me on 0700 993 993. You can call me in the studio to sort of ask any question or ask Dr. Patrick Agbese any question. 0700 993. Okay, Patrick, back to you now. Very interesting, but let's go back to what the topic we're trying to address. Now, you said you've launched this village in Osun State.
Yes,
I can't remember the name of the community you just mentioned in Osun State. Isoka community. Now, how will businesses, how would this reduce the cost for businesses? Example, in the village. Can you explain this for us?
Yes. So, I mean, for the NZV specifically, right? We're looking at assets that can reduce customers can pay monthly instrumentally, right? Which can allow them to be able to kind of access that kind of financing for those more expensive systems. So, which is good. So, just like typical, your NEPA light is always cheaper than your diesel if you buy your diesel consumption. So, imagine you're actually getting access to solar, but very similar or close to what you get from NEPA or the grid.
Impressive. I don't know how it was easy to do this in Osun. The community, how was it like? Would the people understand? How did they understand what you guys were coming to do?
Yes, I mean, we're still building. We haven't finished, right? It's still kind of going, but we've started the process. And at the end of the day, the community is very receptive because these are people who naturally do not have access to electricity, right? So when you actually there, you're providing solutions. They're seeing the impact. They're seeing how it's displacing things. They want to kind of see the full picture in place, right? We're still doing some activities there. You can see there's hope. Once you're giving people hope, you're giving them a way to kind of generate access.
We have a caller, so let me quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What I want to suggest is that what they call it panel, those things they hang on the roof.
Solar panels.
Yeah, the solar panel. Why not make something like the one like the ATM max for a particular village or a particular town?
Okay.
For instance, in First here now, the 3rd Avenue. Those that are interested, if you can make such a big mass, hanging those panels in the higher rank, because the higher you go with this, the more you attract sun.
Okay.
Because the power comes from the sun. Am I right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that contribution. Is this even possible?
So she's a little bit right.
Okay.
You will be surprised because it depends on how much power you need. Right.
Okay.
So if you do, let's say the ATM solution where you have a mast with panels on the mast, you're probably going to generate, let's say, depends on the system size, maximum about 3 kilowatts. So this is about, let's say, if you're a little small community, about 10 to 15 houses that are very small that you can power. So it's not huge, but if it's a very small community, it makes sense. So I mean, for certain areas it's good, but urban areas is very difficult.
Very difficult. All right, I have Dr. Patrick Agbese in the studio, and we've been talking about how to reduce, how businesses can reduce cost with solar. Just before I let you go, in case anyone wants to reach out to you, do you want to call that number again?
Sure. So PAM Africa's phone number is 080-206-41916. And I actually want to just quickly add that we're working with the SC4O program to make sure the payments for these solutions are much more cheaper. So if you call us right now, we have about 150 systems, very limited supply, where we want to kind of onboard to customers and allow them to pay monthly.
All right. So that's a good place to let it go. Time is not on our side.
Great.
But of course, you can always connect with Dr. Patrick, and let's see how that conversations go. And in case you want to watch the episodes more, you can just find us on YouTube, All On Energy, and you can watch all the previous episodes. This is Wisdom. My name is Wisdom, rather, and this is Power Solutions. And until Monday, when we come again, keep those conversations coming and keep the messages coming. I'll see you. Yes, again, that YouTube channel is All On Energy on YouTube. You can watch all previous episodes. And of course, social media, you can find us All On Energy just to keep the conversation going. Send us just DM. I will be sure to keep you on track. My name is Wisdom Chapp-Jumbo, and this is Power Solutions. Until Monday, 11:30 will come your way again. Thank you.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria.